Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gorcom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, happy to have him back in less than a week. Claude LeDuc, CEO of ORTHO Regenerative Technologies, trades on the CSE and the stock symbol ORTH, and for friends in the US, ORTIF. Now, to understand Ortho, because a lot of you are new to the story, they're just starting to tell the world about the incredible products. To understand the company, ask yourself this: have you ever torn a muscle, a rotator cuff, a meniscus, a cartilage? How about someone you know? How about your favorite athlete when you hear about these injuries? Here's what you need to know, because we hear these success stories. What we don't know is that there's a massive problem with failed surgeries. In the rotator cuff world, 20 to 90% failure rate. Meniscus, 30 to 40. Cartilage, 35% upwards. It's a really big problem. ORTH solves this, and we're going to talk about why. And it's a massive market because the rotator cuff market is $600 million market opportunity. Meniscus over $1 billion, cartilage over $1 billion. But the news we're talking about today is the addition of Patrick O'Donnell to the board of directors. Claude, welcome back.
Thank you very much, George. Good morning.
Good morning. You're back so fast. That may be a record for how fast someone returns right back to us.
It's always a pleasure.
We're going to talk about Ortho in a second because there are always going to be new people watching, and
yes.
I want to make sure they understand what it is that you do in layman's terms. We always want to have that discussion. But first, let's talk about typically when a board member gets announced, we don't really do interviews about them because, George added to the board. Okay, he's a good guy. He's smart. But that's not Patrick O'Donnell. There's a reason why we're having him highlighted here. What is so significant about him joining your board?
Well, first of all, corporations are always seeking, to improve management, of course, and also to adjust, its board, depending on the stage of the company, So we are in this very important transition, going from preclinical studies, animal studies, now into the clinical stage, and then preparing parallelly to that our commercial activities that will happen in 3 to 4 years. So Patrick is bringing, an experience that is very unique. He has 25 years of experience in multiple orthopedic and orthobiologic companies. So this is the dimension that the board needed to have to complement their own expertise. So Patrick, has been CEO of NASDAQ listed companies in our field. So he understands exactly what we do, all the environment of our development stage. And so he will be very helpful at the board level and helping me, for example, looking at potential partnerships and eventually, maybe an M&A opportunity. But Patrick has done multiple companies, plays, if you want, very successfully.
What is third-party validation is always important in the small cap world, especially for Gorcom. We can read his credentials and his background, so we can see that for ourselves. But what does it say about Ortho Regenerative when someone of Patrick O'Donnell's successful history in the orthopedic world joins the board of a small cap like your company?
Well, I think, that validation is incredible. First of all, from Patrick himself, he contacted me last summer and was very excited about what we were doing. And so we know each other, from our own backgrounds, and then wanted to see if there was an opportunity, with Ortho. And so at the time, I didn't have any at that moment. But, whenever, the company was, when the right moment came, of course, I didn't hesitate at all to invite him to join the board. And so again, it's big validation, big names like him, experienced people like him and others, that we are bringing along, with the management and at the board level, of course. These people don't sit on any board. They are choosy, and they want to make sure that, the company's technology is very bold and very serious, of course, and that the company is going in the right way, that management is credible and all that. So again, it's big validation for investors to have someone like Patrick on board.
Should we be reading anything into the fact also that he's U.S. based, and there's a reason why you're adding prominent Americans onto the board?
Definitely important point, George. The company, as we said a bit in the first interview, we are aiming of being known in the US. The US market is the largest market in the world. We are investing investors' money in the US because we are starting a US-based clinical trial as we speak. And it's important for us to be known in the US. So we have chosen an IR firm, that will be marketing our company, in the US in the coming year. And so we want to have ORTHO on the radar of institutional and retail investors. We want to become eventually, the new darling of the orthobiologics space, in the US community, being on the radar of all institutional and strategic companies, of course. And so that's one of the reasons, of course, that we are having Patrick on board. And eventually, we will make other additions, at the management level. We hired a VP clinical and medical affairs based in the US. So we are making sure that investors, when they look at the overall reflection of the board and management, that there will be the right mix of Canadian and US participants.
So for everyone who's new, let's talk about why he called you last summer, and what led to this appointment. So in my intro, I identified the problem. We're all very aware of these kind of muscle and tissue tears and things like this, cartilage and so on and so forth. And, because of sports, a lot of us are aware of the fact that we think that magically people have surgery, they go through some rehab, and they're back. But the fact of the matter is, and I guess we don't know there's a problem, because I would think that when an athlete has a tear, they get the very best medical care, the very best rehab, and they come back. So we probably assume that's the case for everybody. But talk to us about how startling the failure rate is, and in layman's terms, what ortho does to improve on that substantially.
Yes. Soft tissue repair is a challenging traumatic condition. Soft tissues are not well vascularized, and in order to repair a soft tissue correctly, you need to have some growth factors and all kinds of whole biologic soup to help to repair that tissue. Surgery alone cannot address that, because surgery is a mechanical answer to a tear. So they will
tears, and you're just trying to stitch it together.
You stitch it together, and then you need to have fusion between the two tendon tissues, if it's tendon only, tear in between, in the middle or somewhere, or most of the time those tears are at the intersection of the bone and the tendon, and they need to fuse together. In order to have a good repair, you need biologic elements. And so this is where the company is coming with a solution where the combination product that we have patented is a combination of a polymer with orthobiologics, that is platelet-rich plasma. So we mix.
And the polymer almost sounds like glue when you say polymer. Most of us think glue.
Yes, well, the polymer has drug actions on the platelets and on other elements from the PRP. So it activates the platelets and helps to have the action of the biologics in situ for a longer time than if you would just inject the PRP alone. So it's a contribution. Both elements has a synergistic outcome. And this is what the orthopedic surgeons are looking for. So, on top of the surgery, this is an adjunct. And if they use PRP alone, the residence time of PRP is less than 24 hours. And the combination of our technology plus the PRP is keeping the PRP in place for during weeks instead of less than 24 hours.
Wow,
so that your growth factors, yes.
And you've had success in animal testing to prove this so far. You're moving into the human testing side, but you've had great success. That's why, again, why would Patrick O'Donnell call you unless, so how successful were you guys on the which is much harder, by the way, because animals don't sit with their shoulder immobilized, right? They're off and running again. So it's a harder customer.
It is a harder customer, and those animal studies are very rigorous. They need to be into a regulatory constraint, which we call good laboratory practice. And those studies are done by third parties outside of the company, outside of the university. So it's independent from the company and university. So that means that the outcomes or the results that you get are done by independent party. And this is what the FDA is looking for, of course. So there's no influence from the company or the university. So again, we got very good results. At 3 months, we got very good MRI, statistically significant results with the MRI at 3 months. And at 6 months, we did the histology, and then showing that the tissue that we regrow is more like a normal tissue versus a fibrous tissue that would be grown by surgery alone. So, when you have a trauma, the human body reacts in action to try to compensate for the trauma. And sometimes the tissue or the repair is not the same type of normal repair of normal tissue, because it is in panic way to repair locally, so that there is no infection or just to address the condition. So the point is that an inferior tissue is regrown with, for example, with standard of care surgery, so mechanically and biologically less viable tissue. And that's probably, and it's stated in the literature, that's why you have your tendon would snap again, and thus justifying the number of re-tears that you have, a failure,
and more than just lip service from you, right? Because we would expect, and a third party investor, somebody watching this right now would say, well, Claude is the CEO, so we would expect him to be optimistic and idealistic. But I want to end off with the quote from Mr. O'Donnell, where he said, "The company's proprietary technology platform has the potential to help address significant unmet medical needs in a multitude of soft tissue repair-related indications. I'm excited to help Ortho RTI develop into an orthobiologics industry leader." Man, what does it mean to see the words of Mr. O'Donnell?
Definitely. And, him and I have the same track record in the field for so long. I've been in that field for 32 years, himself for 25 years. So we know, all the challenges and the unmet medical needs. And so, we're always seeking and looking at what is being done with all competitors, how they approach it. Most of the competitors have an approach, by, harvesting cells and growing cells, or so it is very complicated technology that they're developing compared to what we do. And so our approach is very unique, not that expensive. The product is very cheap to manufacture, so it will be affordable into the marketplace. And so that's what is very exciting, the usefulness and the practicality of using it from the orthopedic surgeons for their patients.
Congratulations on today's edition of the board, Claude. Thanks for coming on to talk about why Mr. O'Donnell is so important. Like I said, typically, I don't know, maybe once a year, we do an interview on a company having George join the board, because typically that's all right. It's a good house cleaning, somebody good and strengthens the team. We know that, but this is a special one. And I really love what it says in terms of validation when someone puts their name to you. And when they have that kind of quote and says that you can, that Ortho RTI has the chance to become, an orthobiologics industry leader. That's amazing. And looking forward to having you back to talk about more about, the trials and things that are coming up. But in the meantime, great addition, Claude.
My pleasure, George. Thank you very much for having me.
You've been watching, or you've been listening by podcast to Claude LeDuc, CEO of ORTHO Regenerative Technologies, trades on the CSE under ORTH and on the QB under ORTIF. Look, guys, it's up for you to do your due diligence now. The great thing about ortho is that it's easy to understand the problem. We're all very familiar with, the indications I came out at the beginning, the kinds of injuries. We've heard about those things. We didn't know that it was a major problem to actually, in terms of the failure rate of surgery. And now how Ortho Regenerative actually addresses that. And you've got great third-party validation from this latest board member who not only is adding his name, but has added his word. So do your due diligence. Do the following. Get to Agoracom, take a look at the company's profile on its hub. We've got it neatly laid out for you in non-scientific terms as much as possible so you can get a really good understanding of the company. Then make sure from there you link over to the website, and you can see it above Claude's head, orthorti.com. Okay. Make sure you get over there. Fantastic information. And by the way, read up on Claude's profile. He's no small fish himself. He's had very successful exits. He's an industry stalwart, and he's the guy who's heading up this company, and it's an exciting future. Do due diligence. Don't say we didn't tell you so, because 12 months from now, we're going to tell you we told you so, and we hope you're with us. Have a great day. See you next time.
Thank you.